So hello everyone, welcome back to our channel Known for Knowledge. So today we are going to learn about power sharing lesson, that is the first chapter of our civics. So this is the first chapter of our civics. So in this chapter we are mainly going to learn about the power sharing. So what is actually power sharing, why the power must be shared among the different groups. So that is a main topic that we are actually going to learn about. Okay. So let us start with our concepts. So in this chapter we are mainly going to see about why power sharing is important, why it is very much desirable, means why it is very much important in a democratic form of government. What will happen if there is no power sharing among the different social groups? Otherwise, if there are no power groups in the social groups, then what will happen? What problems will actually arise? In context of that, we are going to mainly understand about it. Okay. So first we are actually starting about the Belgium and the Sri Lanka situation. If you see the Belgium and the Sri Lanka situation, Belgium was a country. So this all points you have to remember, and also I'll try my level best in order to make this video very short and very much crisp, so that you can also refer it also easily. So that is actually my aim. So this video will be around 25 to 30 minutes only. Okay, so let us start our class. So today we are mainly going to see the first important thing about Belgium and Sri Lanka. Means how the power was actually being shared in Belgium, and how was the power is actually shared in Sri Lanka, and which one is more desirable as compared to each other. That is also you are going to see the difference. Okay. Then let us try to understand what is the ethnic composition. First let us try to understand the geographical conditions of both the states, that is Belgium and Sri Lanka. If you let us start with Belgium. So Belgium was a country which was located, which is a European country. Okay, so it has mainly all the borders with France, Netherlands, Germany, and Luxembourg. Okay, then it has a population of over 1 crore, that is as same as population of Haryana. It is actually half of population of Haryana. And ethnic composition means that when people are actually been the different cultures, traditions, and the language of the people are being called as ethnic groups. So these kind of people are called as ethnic compositions. In an entire country together they are called as ethnic composition. Let us try to understand the ethnic composition of Belgium. If you see the ethnic composition of Belgium, so the Belgium was a country, as you all know. In Belgium there are two different ethnic groups, very important. That is 59% of the total people have actually spoke Dutch language, and 40% of the people actually spoke French language, and 1% of the people actually spoke the German language. So these Dutch people have actually spoke, 59% of the Dutch people actually lived in the Flemish region. That means they are living in the Flemish region, and French people actually living in Wallonia region. Okay, and we are also trying to understand the different percentage of the people speaking in each region. Okay, and for 1% of the people were also speaking German language. So, and among these two groups, that is Dutch and French people actually got education, they got more power and everything before as compared to Dutch people also. So because of which they have started to show their dominance also. Let us see actually what happened now. Okay, if you see that most dominance also, most majority also, Dutch is more majority. But if you see French is also not equal to Dutch, but it is as less as compared, it is minority. But actually what happened, though it was very much minority also, it got education and very much other economic development also much before and then actually compared to Dutch. So therefore because of that they became more powerful also. So then what is actually the problem between those two communities? Means who will actually rule in the legislative councils, that is that is in the parliament and in other assemblies, who will actually have the more power? That is the main problem between these Dutch and the French communities. Okay, so during that time the Brussels was a capital. So Brussels was the capital of Belgium. But in Brussels the situation was more worse, because in the entire country if you see, Dutch population was more and French population was very less. But in the capital city, that is Brussels, 80% of the people actually spoke French, but only 20% of the people spoke Dutch language. Now we can actually try to understand, because a capital city in a country is very much important, because in the form of economic development, in the form of administration purpose or any other thing also, the capital of a city is very much important. For example, in our country India also, New Delhi is a very important capital, because all the important decisions, that is the Supreme Court is there, the cabinet meetings, all the important things will actually happen in Delhi. So capital city is very much important. But if you see here, the capital city was more populated with the French people, and the Dutch people are actually in the minority. So this actually started to create many tensions in Germany, in Belgium. So now let us try to understand the situation of Tamil Nadu. Sorry. Now let us try to understand what was the situation of Sri Lanka. So Sri Lanka was also an island nation. Island nation is nothing but it is an island which is mainly surrounded. It is a land which is surrounded by water on all of its sides. Okay. So Sri Lanka. So Sri Lanka was a country. It is an island nation. As you can see, this is in the southern part. On the southernmost part, this Sri Lanka is actually found. And it is also very much close to Tamil Nadu also. It is just a few kilometers from Tamil Nadu, and it has around 2 crore population. 2 crore population, which is equal to that of Haryana only. Okay. Then now let us try to understand the ethnic composition of Sri Lanka. So the ethnic composition of Sri Lanka was that let me give actually. So the ethnic composition of Sri Lanka. So this is actually Belgium. So in Belgium, as you can see, this yellow color mainly represented the Flemish region, who actually spoke Dutch language. Red color represented the Wallonia region. This Wallonia region who actually are the French people. And this orange color one is the Brussels, which was the capital. Okay. And this is the German-speaking regions. Now let us try to understand the ethnic composition of Sri Lanka. So the ethnic composition of Sri Lanka was also very much complex, because if you see 78% out of all the people, 78% of the people actually spoke Sinhala language. Sinhala language. Then in that around 18% of the people, right? I guess 18 only, right? Yeah. So sorry, 74% of the people actually spoke Sinhala language, and 18% of the people actually spoke Tamil language. In this Tamil also there are two different kind of people, that is Sri Lankan Tamils were there and Indian Tamils were there. Okay, then most of them are around Sri Lankan Tamils only, because Sri Lankan Tamils were around 13%. Okay, the Sri Lankan Tamils were around 13% and Indian Tamils were around 5%. So as you can actually see that there is a clear majority of Sinhala in Sinhala community in Sri Lanka. So what will actually happen, because of which they started to show their will and minority, and they actually started to show the dominance and superiority of the Tamil people. So this can actually be seen in a country. So if there is a majority of a country, then it will try to show its dominance of the minority, that is a Tamil speaking people. Okay, but if you see in the case of Belgium as well, if you see the people, that means the French and the German people are seen as minorities in the country. But if you see the majority, that is the Dutch people are being seen as majority. So that they'll actually use it in order to impose their will over the French and the German people, German speaking communities. They can actually impose the will over the French and the German speaking communities. But let us try to understand what actually the solution they have actually adopted in order to make sure whether they are able to treat all the languages equally, all the people equally, all the ethnic compositions equally or not. Let us try to understand from this. Okay, so majoritarianism in Sri Lanka. So Sri Lanka has actually adopted a majoritarianism form of government. This majoritarianism form of government is a kind of government wherein the majority, it is a kind of a government wherein the majority will only rule over the minority. So that kind of a government is called as when a country is actually following that kind of a government, then it is called a majoritarianism. And Sri Lanka is actually following a majoritarianism form of government. Why it is following majoritarianism? Because 78% of the people was actually speaking So 74%. So 74% of the people are actually speaking Sinhala. So what they thought that majority only should rule over the minorities. Therefore, they formed the majoritarian form of the government. So in 1948, as you can see, they got their independence, and after that, what they have done is Sinhala people have started to show the dominance and superiority of over the minority. As because of which what happened, see, if one kind of ethnic group is trying to show its will and dominance over the other kind of communities, other minorities, the minority community will feel alienated, means they feel that they're not given any rights also. The same situation actually happened in Sri Lanka also, Tamils actually felt that they were not given any rights. Why they felt that? Because first important thing, Sinhala was made as an official language, therefore thus disregarding Tamil. So they did not make Tamil and Sinhala as the official language. They made only Sinhala as the only official language. And second most important thing, they formed the majority, wherein the majority should rule over the minority. So this was actually adopted in Sri Lanka. And third most important thing is all the university jobs, government jobs, and many other job opportunities also were only given to them. So that is all the job opportunities also were mostly given to the Sinhala people only. And the fourth most important thing is here, many laws were actually being made. That means they actually changed their constitution in such a way in order to make and protect and foster, means in order to protect and foster Buddhism language, which was followed by Sinhala people. So therefore they changed the constitution only to respect the Sinhala people, that is to respect their own religion and not to respect the Tamils religion. Therefore what happened, eventually Tamils felt that they felt alienated. They felt that they are not given any political rights also. They are not given any political rights and everything. They are also discriminated against the getting jobs and everything. So because of which they formed a Tamil Ilam states. They have actually demanded for Tamil Ilam. Tamil Ilam is nothing but they have actually started to demand for a separate state. They want a separate state so that they can have their own administration, they can have their own understanding of the government, they can have their own power. So that because of it they have demanded for the Tamil Ilam states. But this was completely rejected by majority of the majority ethnic group, that is Sinhala people, have completely rejected this. So because of which a civil war actually broke out in Sri Lanka. So because of which a civil war broke out in as you can actually understand that there was a continuous tension between the Sinhala and the Tamil speaking communities, because of which their conditions were actually not friendly. So because of which a war broke out in Sri Lanka. So a civil war actually broke out in Sri Lanka. What is actually this civil war? As you can see here, a civil war is nothing but a violent conflict between opposing groups within a country that becomes so intense that it appears like a war. That is called as a civil war. As if you see in economics textbook also, in that it is actually described that Sri Lanka was a country which was having a greater economic development. But after this what the economic development of the Sri Lanka is actually turned into very bad, that it actually still became very much difficult to recover also. If you see the situation now also, the situation is very bad in Sri Lanka. Okay, so that was the main problems in Sri Lanka. So actually we try to understand what was actually the ethnic composition. Next we also saw what actually they followed, that also we have seen. So in a similar way we are also going to see the situation of Belgium. In Belgium, as I already told you, in Belgium, as I already told you, 59% of the people were actually Dutch. In the entire country, 59% of the people were Dutch, 40% of the people were French. But if you see in the capital city, that is Brussels, 80% were French and 20% were only Dutch. So because of which there was an intense conflict between both the communities. Then what did the Belgian government actually done? So they have actually changed their constitution 4 times. Why they have actually changed their constitution 4 times? Because in order to accommodate all the regional differences, in order to remove all the differences and to bring all the people together, in order to make sure that no ethnic group will actually feel alienated, means they'll not feel out that they'll actually been left out. In order to make sure that they've actually done they actually changed their constitution 4 times. If you see also here, they actually amended the constitution 4 times in order to make out an arrangement that will enable everyone to live together in a society wherein there will be no differences among the people. So what actually they followed? First one which they had done was a central government. So the central government was actually made sure that the Dutch and the French people communities were given the equal representation, the French government. Okay. And this was also made, and the constitution was also changed in such a way that both the people, both the communities, people have to be consulted in making a decision. Therefore, in arriving at a decision, either Dutch people or the French people cannot themselves cannot take the decision. Both have to consult together. They both have to discuss together. Then only they can arrive at a solution. They themselves cannot. Each community cannot have its own rules and laws. Okay. And the next important government is the state governments. A state government. So this is the first government, that is the central government. Then in the state government was also there. So in this state government, it was made sure that the two communities, that's French and German, were actually given equal representation in this also. And the state governments are not subordinate to the central governments. That means they are not higher to the central government. So all the rules which are actually given by the central government have to be followed by the state governments, as in India also. Okay. And the third most important thing is about the Brussels government. As you can see, Brussels was having 80% as the French and 20% as the Dutch. So in that case also they have actually formed a equal representation form of government, wherein French and Dutch people were given equal representation. So here French has actually accepted the representation of the Dutch, because in the central government, Dutch has actually accepted the representation of French speaking communities. So in the therefore Brussels was also having an equal representation of both French and Dutch speaking communities. Then after that we have a community form of government. So this community form of government will look into the matters related to all the communities, that is the French, Dutch and German speaking communities. So they have the power regarding the regional, culture, language and language related and educational related matters. So this community, and you can actually say that this is a fourth kind of government, not third. So this is the fourth kind of government. Okay, and then Dutch, French and German speaking communities are also can easily live together in a society. And when actually different European unions actually came together also, they have actually selected this area, that is Brussels, as a headquarters for the European Union also. So the European Parliament in Brussels also. So European Union was actually selected Brussels as its headquarters, because people were actually living in a harmonious and more peaceful life. Therefore, they actually selected this as the easy government. This is actually selected as a European government. Now let us try to understand what were the main differences between the two kind of governments which are actually followed in Sri Lanka and Belgium. If you see that in the case of Sri Lanka did not give any respect to each of the communities. That is, did not give importance to the Tamil people, that is Sri Lankan Tamil and the Indian Tamil. It gave more importance to the majority, that is the Sinhala speaking communities, because of which Tamils actually felt alienated and they actually fought against the Sinhala, because of which a civil war broke out, and because of which the economic development also came down very much. But if you see the situation of Belgium here, Belgium actually accepted, it actually understood that without unifying all the people together, we cannot have a unity and we cannot have a harmonious and a peaceful society. So in which they actually believe. So this is the idea which they actually believe, because of which they actually formed together a society wherein both the communities, that is the French and the Dutch speaking communities, were actually given equal representation. This will actually help in bringing unity among the people, and also helps in the easy administration process also. It also makes sure that each one is actually given equal representation. No one feels alienated from the society also. So that is what which they have actually done. Is they have actually accepted, they have actually respected the feelings and the interests of the different communities and the regions. So now let us try to understand why power sharing is more desirable, why power sharing is very much important. So firstly, if we try to understand why power sharing is very much important, because power sharing will actually reduce the conflicts. So power sharing will reduce conflicts among the people. If we see in a longer, say for a shorter run, it seems that majority ruling over minority can be a better option. But if we see in the long run, majority ruling of the minority will not actually help the majority. This will actually undermine the unity of the people. This will also cause many wars among the people as well. So therefore, majoritarianism is a completely very bad process, very bad idea. Therefore, the following a majoritarian form of government is not a good thing. Okay. The third most important thing, because if you see here, this power sharing will actually bring in the political stability, because if you see the conflicts, if more conflicts are actually there, it will bring the political instability. If actually power sharing is there, they actually help in the political stability also, right? So therefore, it will bring the political stability. Political stability is nothing but it will help in the easy process of administration also. And different people have different people have to be consulted in arriving at a decision. but it will help in the easy administration process also. Because if you see the people also here, they do not mostly elected people are the Sinhala people only. The Sri Lanka Tamils are not given any opportunities, even the political rights also. Then who will actually take care about the problems of the Tamils? No one will actually take care of the problems of the Tamils, right? Therefore, this will actually bring out the political stability also. Three most important points. And after that, we also see that, and it also, and power sharing the true spirit of, actually brings out the true spirit of democracy. See, because if you see power sharing, when power is actually being shared among the different people, if you see in the third tier of the government, that is the local government that we are actually having, we are making sure that the local people actually can easily participate in the decision making process. Why we are actually making them participate in this third tier, why we are actually forming the third tier of government? Because it will actually help in the decision making process, which is a true spirit of democracy. So because of which only, that means when a power is shared, when a power is actually been taken away from the central and state government, and it is given to the other form of government, that is the third tier of government, then this will actually help us in increasing democracy also, because people can actually participate in the decision making process. See, if you see, we'll always say that a democracy will help in the decision making process. So how it will actually help? By this all the things. That means when actually people participate in the third tier of government, that is local government, they can actually take part in the decision making, right? So therefore this is very much important. Okay, and people have the right to be consulted and how they have to become. So this also makes a government more legitimate, more accountable, more responsible form of government also. Because legitimate is nothing but it makes the government more responsible and more accountable to all the actions of the people also. So in one way, where the citizen, through which the participation will acquire a stake in the system. Okay. So what are the prudential reasons? Prudential is nothing but the moral reasons which you must actually remember. So prudential reasons are nothing but which are usually contrasted with the decisions based on the moral considerations. This is not important. You can just read it out. So now let us try to understand the different forms of power sharing. So how the power is actually being shared among the different groups. So how the different levels of government is actually followed. So how the power is actually being shared among the different groups, that we are mainly going to understand from this. Okay. So the first thing that we actually have to remember is that the unitary and the federal form of government. So unitary form of government is a kind of government wherein the power is actually shared between only one community or one group. Okay. For example, Switzerland will actually follow a unitary form of government, wherein the power will actually lie. A unitary form of government is also called as a dictatorship, wherein when the process of decision making is only applicable to few people, that is few individuals, only for one person or for the few group of individuals. All the common people cannot take part in the decision making process. But if you see in the federal form of government, all the people can take part in the decision making process. So if you see, India is a federal form of government. So why? Because people cannot actually participate in the decision making process. That is in the third tier of government. Okay. Now let us try to understand what were the different arrangements which are actually brought out in our country. If you see, the first most important thing is that the power is actually shared among the different organs of the government. What are the different organs of government? Judiciary, legislative and executive. So legislative will make the laws, executive will implement the laws, and judiciary will keep a check on executive and legislature in order to check if the laws are being made properly or not, and if they are implemented properly or not. So this system is called as a system of checks and balances. So why it is called checks and balances? Because judiciary will try to keep a check on the people. It will try to keep a check on legislature and judiciary, whether it will make sure that all the laws are being implemented properly or all the laws are being made properly or not also. So because of that only, we can actually say that this is judiciary will actually keep a check on all the systems of the governments. Okay. And it is also seen that the judges which are actually appointed by the executive, they can actually check the functioning of the executive and laws which are made by the legislature also. And also the ministers and governments will exercise their powers, means they'll have some power with them. So they actually take the important decisions in regarding to the development of the country. See, executive will actually help in consulting, they help in advising the ministers. Okay, but the main important decisions are being taken by the people. That is the main important decisions are being taken by the final decisions are being taken by the ministers themselves who belong to a particular party. When actually the power is actually shared among the different social groups, different organs. You see, when power is shared among different organs, each organ is having its own jurisdiction. Jurisdiction is nothing but each organ is having its own function regarding different specific policy matters. As you know, legislature is having to make the laws, then executive will implement the laws, and judiciary will what it will try to keep a check. It will try to keep a check on the laws. Therefore, each organ is having its own function. So therefore, what we can actually understand that, see, all these organs are actually placed at the same level, but they'll exercise different powers. They are not superior to one above. It is not like legislative first, then executive next, then judiciary third. It's not like that. Each are, all the three are there together. That is, this is legislative, this is executive, and this is judiciary. Therefore, they are placed in the same level. Therefore, this is called as a horizontal power division. But it is called horizontal power division because all are given equal powers. Okay, and no one is answerable to anyone, because judiciary is not answerable to legislature. Legislature is not answerable to judiciary, and so to execute and everything. Okay, that will actually make you try to understand from this. Okay, then let us try to understand what is the power sharing in the different levels of the government. Before we have actually seen the power sharing in the different organs. Now let us try to see the power sharing in the different levels. If you see here, the power is actually being shared among the different levels. That is, the first level is the central government. Next is the state. Next is the local government. So central government will have the power regarding different matters, like regarding banking, regarding communication, regarding the foreign affairs, regarding defense. All these matters, the central government is having power, and the state government is having the power regarding the police, regarding the irrigation facilities, regarding the IT developments, that is economic development, commerce sector also. This is having the power, and whereas the local government is having the power regarding all the parties. It is having the power regarding all the development regions of that country, regarding different policy matters, like the development of that respective district or respective area. Okay, of the respective villages and everything, respective cities and villages, the local government is having the power. And the central government, in the federal form of government, equal power is actually not given to all the states. So the central government is placed at the first level, and central government is at the first level, then state government is at the second, then local government is at the third level, and central government is having the full authorities, it is having the full power. If any law, if it strictly says that, central government strictly says passes any law, then it should be followed by the state governments and the local governments also, because and state governments are also answerable to the central governments, and local governments are answerable to both state government and central governments also. This is what we actually see in a power division, where it is shared among the different levels. When it is actually shared among different levels, they not exercise the same power. Each organ is having its own power, and also they are answerable to its above members. For example, central government. So, for example, if you see here, central state, and local. So local is answerable to state and of central, and state is answerable to the central government. So this is the power division in the different levels, and therefore this is called as the vertical division of power. Why vertical division of power? This is because the power is actually shared vertically. That means the organization which is on the top is having the more power as compared to the organization which is on the bottom. I can also tell us about the Supreme Court also. Supreme Court is having greater power as compared to the high courts, as compared to the local courts or the district courts. Okay, this can also be taken as an example. This situation also was actually followed in the case of Belgium also, wherein different power, wherein they were having central, state, Brussels government, and also a very important form of government, that is community form of government. Okay, then. Then during that time only the local government was also introduced. So till 1992 local government was not actually there, but in 1992 only constitution was actually changed in such a way that it actually included the third tier of government, that is the local government. This local government will also make sure, will help in the easy decision making process, in the decision making process, and also the people who are located at the local level, that is the villages or the people who have they are actually more aware of the problems and the ideals also. They're more aware about the problems and the difficulties of the people. So when they are actually being given the power, they can easily resolve those kind of issues. So during that time only this local government was actually put place. Okay, let me see. To know if it is 1992 or not. Okay, it is 1992. So in 1992 only this was actually made. Okay, now let us try to understand how the power is actually shared among the different social groups. If you see here, the power is actually shared among the different social groups as well. Different social groups is nothing but it is a community form of government. Okay, so this was actually made sure. Why this was why it is actually shared among the different social groups? Because they do not feel alienated also. They can actually easily take part in the decision making process also. For example, some seats are being reserved. Some seats are actually being reserved for the SCs and STs. For SCs and for STs. Why their seats are reserved? Because during that time, during the process of making of the constitution only, it was made sure that these SCs and STs, that is scheduled tribes and scheduled caste people, were actually given special seats. Because before they have been discriminated totally, so now they were actually provisions were actually made sure in order to bring out, in order to make sure that they do not feel alienated also. They do not feel that they are left out in the decision making process. They can also easily participate in the decision making process in the legislatures, in the administration, and also women also. So in the local government bodies, 1/3 of the seats are being reserved for women. So why 1/3 of the seats are actually reserved for women? So that this will help in the women representation, women empowerment, women representation will also increase in the communities. This was actually made sure. Okay. Then the pressure groups. So pressure groups are very much important. Why these pressure groups are very important? Because these pressure groups will actually help in influencing the public opinion also. Okay. So these pressure groups, if you see actually, for example, if any political leader or anything will actually take any decision, there are two different kind of pressure groups. One pressure group will try to support, they'll try to influence people about those policy matters which are taken by those leaders. Means for example, A party is there. This A party and this pressure group is there. Some kind of pressure group. So this will also try to support A party. Therefore, what will happen? Because of which it will try to influence people also. It will try to influence people on, see, they'll also say, oh, that party is actually taking a good nice decisions. Why can't, then we should also try to influence people so that the popularity, they can also help in the popularity, they can also help in increasing the popularity of the parties also. These pressure groups, okay. And the second form of the pressure groups are nothing but these pressure groups, this is the first form. We have the second form of the pressure groups. So who are these second form of pressure groups? These second form of the pressure groups are the ones which they're not in support of anyone. So whenever an important decision is being taken by the government, they'll try to oppose it or they'll try to support it also. See, for what they'll actually try to do, because they'll try to put pressure on the people. They'll try to influence the people also. So they'll actually see in this case, this is actually supporting the party. But in this case, they may actually go against the party also because of any wrong decisions which are actually being taken by the party, or because of which they'll try to put pressure on the people in order to bring out the new solution, in order to remove those kind of policies which are actually being taken. So they'll try to put pressure on the government and they'll try to influence, or they'll try to amend the laws or change the laws. Okay. Then political parties. Political parties are nothing but a group of people who actually believe in the same ideas. They'll come together and they'll actually form the group together, and for the process of contesting the election, that is called as a political party. So this political party people will actually believe in the same ideology and same beliefs, and the same thought process is also going to be same, because they all belong to one political party. You can also see a very important term, that is alliance. What is actually this alliance? Alliance is nothing but when no party will actually get a pure majority in order to, a complete majority in order to form a government, then they actually form an alliance. This is also called as a coalition form of government. Okay. So this is called as a coalition form of government, wherein, for example, 100 seats are there. That at least you must get around 60 seats in order to form a party, but you got only around 40 or 45 seats. So in that case, many parties will actually come together, and they'll actually come together. Okay. So for example, A party got 45, B party got 20, then C party got 15. How many happened? Then D party got 5. Then E party got how many happened? 15. Okay, 100. So 100 seats are there. 100 seats are there in the respective council. So in that, at least you must get around 70 parties. So in that case, what they will do? So in that case, what they'll try to do? They'll try to form an alliance. So the first majority of the party A party will try to make an alliance. It will try to make an alliance. A party will try to make an alliance with B. So that it got 65 now. Then they'll also try to make an alliance with C also, so that they'll get 75 votes. So 75 votes, they are actually gone. So these three parties will actually rule the government. So that we can actually see what is the coalition form of government. So hope you all have understood that this is a simple process, this simple lesson, this civics lesson is very much simple to understand also. Okay, so that's explained very much quickly and easily. Now let us try to see the picture based questions here. If you see the picture here, Putin. So if you see, this is Vladimir Putin, and this is actually George Bush, who was actually the president of this is Putin. And this is George Bush. And actually many laws were actually brought out in Russia in order to increase the powers of the president. That we can actually see here. They're actually keeping the control. They're actually keeping the democracy under the control of their own feet. Okay, that we can actually see. Democracy is under the control of these people. And Vladimir Putin is actually suggesting George Bush that you should also change the laws in such a way that you'll give more powers to the president himself. So some new laws are actually brought in Russia in order to give more powers to the president. During the same time, the US president also visited Russia. During this time, the relationship between the democracy and the concentration of power. As you always see, democracy is a concentration of power, when the power is actually shared in different groups. But if you see the power can also be misused by different political leaders. So he's actually trying to have more power. That means presidents are actually change the constitution to get more power also. That is actually seen here. Then one more important picture that is here. If you see, this actually represents the German politics. So during that time, each two parties actually formed together a coalition form of government. As you can see here, the Christian Democratic Union and the Social Democratic Union, they together have actually formed, which is actually very much rivals to each other. Means they have very competition. They have very much competition. There was also always a fighting between these two communities and because communities. So during one elections, they were not able to get a clear majority to form a government. Therefore, these together they form a coalition form of government. And for the 2005 elections, okay, but as you can see here, two steerings can also be seen. That means two steerings are there, means the power means that democracy cannot actually move. If there is a two steerings, that is the bus cannot actually move. That means people are actually, they both are having their opposing ideas also, opposing ideologies and everything, because of which it is actually presented as two parties here. Okay, that is actually seen in this picture. So it is mainly representing the two different parties that the coalition government will always be unstable, because it is always unstable because the people must actually agree upon all the parameters of the majority government. Sometimes there is always a competition, and whenever they not agree, they can also cause the fall of the government also. Therefore, always the people should have a clear, or the members of the party should have a clear understanding. They should have a they should always have a what you can actually say is good understanding. We should say good understanding, good friendship, good friendship and leadership. They both should have, not leadership. They should have good friendship, good bonding, good understanding. They should have. Then only the process of decision making will become easier. Otherwise, it will not become easier. And one of the most important things. So Sri Lankan Indian Tamils. So why we call Indian Tamils and Sri Lankan Tamils? Because Sri Lankan Tamils are the real inhabitants. Means they actually belong to that respective area. But there was also Indian Tamils. Indian Tamils are the people who actually went to Sri Lanka in terms of the plantation works during the colonial times. That means during the time of the Britishers also, as you can see, during the time of British actually sent some people to do some plantation works in Sri Lanka. So during that time they went there in order to do the plantation works. Okay, that way I can actually understand this. Okay, so hope you all understood, right? So the session was only 20 minutes, so you can easily refer it. So whenever before you go to exam, if you can actually refer this, you can get all the important points also. Okay, so that is what I like to actually tell you. Okay, then okay, it is already 40 minutes. Okay, then I'll have to end the session. Okay, then see you all next time. So till then, bye bye.